And we're back, and this time I'm going to show you a simple contrast test that you can use in logo design. We'll use Adobe Illustrator for that. You can also use Photoshop. In Photoshop you would just use the adjustment layer black and white, and you can check it. In Illustrator we can do it a little bit differently. You can see I've got a couple of color combinations here and a very simple logo design into variations. And what we can do to determine if the contrast between the color of the word mark and the color of the circle in this case, or the color of the star, has enough contrast is we can simply create a new rectangle. Let me make that black, then I draw it on top. I use the move tool, right click, range, send to back. Then I copy that. With the move tool I hold Alt and Shift when I do that. The first one is set, and then I press Ctrl D. And now they're all filled. What we can do now is I'll shift click, so I hold shift and click on both elements, and then I open my transparency menu. You can go to window and find that over there. Here it is. And we want to change the blending mode of the circle and the word mark to luminosity. So now you can see that the contrast is not as high as we hoped for. When we apply this test, let us select all of the other elements and change it to luminosity as well. And if we look at the results, we can see that our second option would be the best one. But you can also see in the white field that the contrast between the word mark and the background is not as high as for the first one with the green word mark. But when it comes to the contrast between the circle and the color of the word mark, the second option would be the best. And the worst one is clearly this one, so our fifth option. And it is obvious why. These two colors, so the color of the circle is this red, and the color of the word mark is very close to it, so there is not much of a difference, just there is no huge contrast between the two. You don't necessarily only have to use this method to determine overlapping shapes or the contrast between them. You can also use it here. In this example I've got the symbol elements, so the star and the word mark, separated from each other. It's another typical logo design idea where there's a symbol on top of the word mark. We can use kind of like the same method. This time we'll put the rectangle on top and use hue and saturation as the blending modes. So when you do that, you can see that we've got enough contrast between the red and the green here. But when we use this method, it looks like we have very similar values in color. So this test is just something that you can add on top to check for the strength or the intensity of the hue and the saturation. So you shouldn't just use it as a single solution or as a single method to find your solution. For example, the second one down here, it looks much better when we add the hue and saturation rectangle. But if we stick to the original colors without the rectangle, we can see that the first option is clearly something that would work better. Let us just change the color here to this yellow. And you can see once more, this produces the best results. It has a very high contrast between the red in the background, or the red as the star, and a word mark with the green yellowish color. So don't use this method in isolation, as I've said, just use it as another tool to check your results. It's a simple trick, easily done, and it saves you a lot of problem. I hope this video was helpful. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.